Anger is an emotion as old as humanity itself. It is a visceral response, a surge of energy that can be both overwhelming and destructive. Yet, throughout history, philosophers and thinkers have grappled with this powerful emotion, seeking ways to understand, manage, and ultimately transcend it. In today's video, we will draw on Stoic wisdom to explore strategies for controlling anger, highlighting their importance for our personal growth and inner peace. Stoic philosophy gives us practical tools for cultivating a mindfulness that we desperately need, yet are quick to ignore. By the end of the video, you will have understood the importance of self-awareness, the understanding of human nature, the practice of delay, and the cultivation of a Stoic mindset. You will have learned how the Stoics, be it Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, or Epictetus, were able to keep calm, think clearly, and control their anger even under extreme duress. Your path to controlling your anger starts here, with Stoicism, at the Weekly Stoic. If you appreciate what we're doing, do us a simple, free favor by hitting the subscribe button and make sure you don't skip any part of the video to get the mindfulness needed to combat anger. Now, let's get started. Understand the nature of anger. The first step in controlling anger is to understand the nature of anger itself. Seneca, the wise Stoic philosopher, defines anger as a temporary madness, a momentary lapse in our ability to think clearly, where our reason is overthrown and our judgment becomes clouded. This loss of reason drives us to actions we would never consider in a calmer state. It's as if anger wraps us in a fog so dense that we can no longer see the path before us. Unlike other emotions, which may ebb and flow, anger has a unique intensity that sets it apart. It doesn't just influence us, it consumes us, like a wildfire that rapidly spreads, leaving devastation in its wake. Seneca paints a vivid picture of anger as a storm, one that builds from the smallest of disturbances into a raging tempest. When this storm hits, it doesn't just affect the surface, it tears through everything in its path, sweeping away our reason and leaving behind only chaos and destruction. Think of how a calm sea can suddenly transform into a furious maelstrom. Just moments before, all was peaceful, but now everything is at the mercy of the storm. This is what anger does to the mind. It takes control and drives us to actions and words that we might later regret. To combat anger, we must first recognize that it is not an inevitable reaction. It's a choice. This may be difficult to accept, especially when anger feels so automatic, so justified. But it's true. Anger is often a choice we make without even realizing it. Anger arises from the gap between our expectations and reality. Imagine your partner or friend breaking an agreement they've established with you, and not just once. Imagine that agreement to mean the world to you both, yet here they are, breaking it again without even knowing it. Every time they break it, you seethe, you burn, and then you fume. And what happens? You get angry over the same thing. Again, you hold them in contempt and burn inside. Or if it's too much for your irrationality to handle, you lash out at them. Then you calm down, again, for anger leaves you, for that is how it works. That is how it uses you. But what's important is that you calm down and come to understand the same thing all over again, that you'll just have to put up with your partner's inability at a specific task or agreement. You come to understand that your expectation of them honoring a pledge clashes with the reality of their careless behavior or an honest mistake. The anger does come from a gap between your expectations and someone else's reality. We often get angry when we believe we've been wronged or when events don't unfold as we desire. Yet the truth is that the world doesn't revolve around our expectations. The universe isn't here to cater to our every whim, and other people's actions are beyond our control. When we internalize this Stoic truth that the world doesn't owe us anything, we can begin to free ourselves from the tyranny of anger. Instead of reacting with anger, we can learn to detach ourselves from the need to react at all. In short, when we experience any strong emotion, when we experience anger, we are presented with a chance at accepting the way things are. And if we choose to accept it, we begin to see that we truly have a choice in the matter. We can reject it. Yes, indeed, we can reject anger. The next time you feel anger bubbling up, pause and ask yourself, isn't my peace of mind more important? Do I have control over the situation, or am I simply clashing with reality? By confronting these questions, you begin to weaken anger's grip on you. Remember, you have the power to choose your response, and in that choice lies your freedom. Focus on yourself daily. Self-awareness is the foundation of anger management. Without it, controlling anger is like trying to steer a ship without a rudder. You're at the mercy of every emotional wave that crashes over you. To combat anger effectively, one must cultivate a deep understanding of one's own tendencies, triggers, and weaknesses. This isn't something that happens overnight. It requires consistent effort and a willingness to look inward, even when it's uncomfortable. Seneca, a master of introspection, advises making this a daily practice. At the end of each day, he suggests that we take time to reflect on our actions and decisions, asking ourselves pointed questions like, what bad habit did I kick today? Which ones did I check? Am I better today than I was yesterday? This practice of self-examination is like looking at your soul in a mirror. It allows you to see yourself as you truly are, not who you wish to be. By practicing this reflection, you can identify patterns in your behavior that may be leading to anger. Perhaps you notice that certain situations or people consistently trigger you, or maybe you realize that stress from work spills over into your interactions with loved ones. These insights are invaluable because they give you the power to anticipate anger before it fully manifests. It's like noticing dark clouds on the horizon. You can prepare for the storm rather than being caught off guard. By becoming more aware of the subtle cues your body and mind send, such as a quickened heartbeat, clenched fists, or a rising feeling of irritation, you can intervene before anger takes hold. Think of it as catching a spark before it turns into a wildfire. This proactive approach requires vigilance and a brutal honesty with oneself. It's not enough to recognize these cues. You must also acknowledge what they're telling you. Are you angry because someone truly wronged you? Or is it because your pride was wounded? Are you upset because the situation is unjust, or because it didn't go your way? This level of self-awareness demands that you be your governor and guide. It's not about beating yourself up. It's about being true to yourself, true to your growth. Each time you catch anger early, you're one step closer to mastering it. But it doesn't mean you'll never get angry again, for you will. For anger is a natural human emotion. Instead, what it means is that you'll be better equipped to handle it the next time it arises. Remember, this journey towards greater self-awareness and anger management is ongoing. It's a daily practice, much like physical exercise, where consistency is key. The more you engage in this introspective work, the more attuned you'll become to your emotional triggers, and the better you'll be at maintaining control over your reactions. And in this control lies not just freedom from anger, but a deeper sense of peace and resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. Letting go of expectations. A significant portion of anger arises from unrealistic expectations of others. We often find ourselves triggered when people don't behave as we think they should, when they fail to meet the standards we've set in our minds. It's as if we've built a fragile castle of expectations, and every time someone doesn't act according to our script, a brick crumbles away, leaving us feeling wronged, frustrated, or even betrayed. But the truth is, this castle was always on shaky ground because it's based on the flawed assumption that others will always live up to our expectations. To control anger, we must first recognize and accept a fundamental truth. Humans are fallible creatures. We are all prone to making mistakes, acting out of self-interest, and being driven by our own passions and flaws. Just as you have your own set of challenges and imperfections, so does everyone else. Expecting others to consistently meet our expectations is like expecting the weather to always be sunny. It's simply unrealistic. When we adopt a more realistic view of human nature, we begin to see that anger often stems from the gap between our expectations and reality. This shift in perspective is powerful. It means accepting that people will sometimes disappoint us, betray our trust, or act in ways that irritate or offend us. This doesn't mean we become doormats or excuse harmful behavior, but it does mean we approach others with a more balanced and understanding mindset. By lowering our expectations and accepting the imperfections of others, we dramatically reduce the likelihood of feeling anger when those expectations are not met. Imagine, for instance, that a co-worker fails to deliver on a promise, leaving you to pick up the slack. Your first instinct might be to feel angry, to see this as a personal affront. But what if instead you remind yourself that they, like you, are subject to the same human weaknesses? Perhaps they're overwhelmed with their own challenges, or maybe they simply made a mistake. Viewing their fault with a sense of pity rather than outrage can soften your response. You might think, they're struggling too, and this shift from judgment to empathy can help you keep your cool. This change in how we view others can be transformative. Instead of reacting with anger when someone falls short, we can respond with empathy. We can recognize that their actions are often driven by their own struggles, by ignorance, fear, or misunderstanding. This doesn't just protect us from the corrosive effects of anger, it also fosters a more compassionate and harmonious way of relating to others. When we replace judgment with understanding, we contribute to a world where people are met with patience rather than hostility, where we all have a bit more room to be human. So the next time someone disappoints you, pause and ask yourself, am I being realistic? Should I view this situation with empathy rather than anger? And if I should, how do I go about doing that? By doing so, you'll not only spare yourself unnecessary stress, but also cultivate a more peaceful and understanding approach to life. And in that approach, you'll find a deeper sense of connection to those around you, flaws and all. Seneca's Way. One of Seneca's most practical strategies for managing anger is the power of delay. Anger, as he keenly observes, is an emotion that thrives on immediacy. When anger flares up, it demands instant action, whether it's snapping back with a sharp retort, seeking revenge, or simply finding an outlet for our frustration. It's as if anger is a fire that needs to be fed immediately to keep burning. But here's the catch. Just as quickly as it demands action, it can also burn out if we deprive it of fuel. By delaying our response, we often find that anger, which seemed so urgent in the moment, begins to fade on its own. Seneca's advice is simple, yet powerful. When you feel the first stirrings of anger, pause. This pause doesn't need to be long, just long enough to allow the initial surge of emotion to subside, giving reason a chance to step in and take control. During this pause, take a moment to reflect. Ask yourself important questions. Is my response justified? Will it improve the situation, or will it only make things worse? What are the potential consequences of my actions? These questions act as a mental brake, slowing down the emotional rush and allowing your rational mind to catch up. Think of it like this. Anger is like a car racing down a steep hill. If you let it go unchecked, it will pick up speed and become harder to control, eventually crashing and causing damage. But if you apply the brakes early, by pausing and reflecting, you can slow it down, steer it in a safer direction, or even bring it to a complete stop before it causes harm. This is the essence of Seneca's strategy. By introducing a moment of reflection between the stimulus and our response, we regain control over our emotions rather than being swept away by them. The practice of delay can be as simple as taking a deep breath, counting to 10, or even walking away from the situation temporarily. These might seem like small actions, but they can have a profound impact. Taking a deep breath gives your body a chance to calm down, sending a signal to your brain that the threat isn't as immediate as it feels. Counting to 10 gives you a brief respite, a moment to think rather than react. Walking away from the situation allows you to remove yourself from the source of your anger, giving you the space to cool off and gain perspective. By creating this space for reason to intervene, you're not just preventing anger from escalating, you're also teaching yourself a valuable habit. Each time you choose to delay your response, you reinforce your ability to stay in control, making it easier to manage anger the next time it arises. This practice of delay is not about suppressing your emotions or pretending you're not angry. It's about giving yourself the time and mental clarity to decide how you truly want to respond. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to feel like acting on anger is the only option. But by embracing Seneca's strategy of delay, you discover that there is another, wiser path available. A path that leads to better outcomes, healthier relationships, and a greater sense of inner peace. So the next time you feel anger bubbling up, remember that you have the power to pause, to breathe, and to choose your response wisely. In that moment of delay, you find not just control over your anger, but also a deeper sense of mastery over yourself. Cultivate a Stoic mindset. At the heart of these teachings is the cultivation of a Stoic mindset, a philosophy that fundamentally reshapes how we perceive and interact with the world. This mindset is built on a few core principles: living in harmony with nature, accepting what we cannot change, and focusing our energy on what we can control. The Stoic mindset is one of equanimity, where external events are seen not as inherently good or bad, but simply as things that happen, things that exist outside our control, and therefore not worth our emotional turmoil. To truly free ourselves from the grip of anger, we must adopt this Stoic approach to life. This means embracing the reality that most of the things that provoke our anger are beyond our control. We cannot dictate the actions of others, the outcomes of events, or the random occurrences of life. These external factors operate according to their own rules, indifferent to our preferences and desires. However, what we can control is our response to these events. This is where our power lies, not in altering the world, but in governing our own reactions to it. Stoicism teaches us to view life as a series of tests, each designed to challenge our ability to remain calm and rational. Imagine, for instance, that you've had a long day at work, and when you finally reach home, Get inside the elevator and press those buttons of relief. They don't work. You try again and again and again. You were feeling tired already. Now you're about to fall. You could still manage to take the stairs, but you don't want to. You've worked too hard today to take the stairs. But the problem with the elevator, what is it? The kids from the apartment in front of yours? Something technical with the elevator? You don't know, but you could make them up. Curse the universe till it starts working again, or you draw yourself out and up the stairs. Or you could take the Stoic perspective and accept that the elevator not working is simply an event, neither good nor bad, just something that happens. The real test lies in how you respond. Will you let anger and frustration take control, or will you see this as an opportunity to practice patience and acceptance? Will you take the stairs? No. More importantly, when will you take the stairs? No. Most importantly, will you take the stairs without getting angry? In a situation that could trigger anger, instead of reacting with anger, the Stoic approach encourages us to see it as an opportunity to practice patience, tolerance, and self-control. Think of it like this. Such challenges are a chance to strengthen your mental resilience. Just like muscle memory, your ability to maintain calm in anger-friendly situations is fortified each time you choose against anger. This shift in perspective is more than just a coping mechanism. It's a powerful way to reclaim your inner peace. Imagine the freedom that comes with no longer being at the mercy of external events. When you adopt the Stoic mindset, you begin to see that the true battleground is not out there in the world, but within yourself. It's in how you choose to interpret and respond to what life throws your way. In essence, to never get angry, or at least to minimize the grip anger has on you, requires a deep and ongoing commitment to cultivating this Stoic mindset. It's about recognizing that life's challenges are inevitable, but our suffering is not. We suffer only when we resist what is, when we demand that the world conform to our desires rather than accepting it as it is. By embracing the Stoic approach, you take control of your inner world, ensuring that peace and rationality prevail, even in the face of life's most trying circumstances. Stoics forgive. Anger often lingers because we hold on to grudges, nursing past wrongs like wounds that we refuse to let heal. The Stoics argue that forgiveness is not just a noble act. It is essential for maintaining inner peace and avoiding the triggers that lead to prolonged anger. When we hold on to resentment, we give anger a place to fester and grow, allowing it to poison our thoughts and emotions, often long after the initial offense has occurred. To practice forgiveness, we must first recognize a fundamental truth. Holding on to anger harms us far more than it harms the person we're angry with. The Stoics wisely suggest that to lighten this burden, we should strive to let go of our grievances, acknowledging that everyone makes mistakes and that we too have been guilty of wronging others at times. Forgiveness, in the Stoic sense, doesn't mean we condone harmful behavior or allow ourselves to be mistreated. It's not about pretending that the wrong never happened or that it was okay. Rather, it's about releasing the emotional grip that the offense has on us. By forgiving, we're not saying that what happened was right. We're saying that we refuse to let it control us any longer. We're freeing ourselves from the heavy chains of anger and resentment, which, if left unchecked, can dictate our moods, color our interactions with others, and diminish our quality of life. Consider the emotional toll of holding on to a grudge. Each time you recall the offense, your body reacts as if it's happening all over again. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, and anger surges anew. This cycle of reliving past wrongs keeps us trapped in a loop of negativity, preventing us from moving forward. But when you choose to forgive, you break this cycle. You reclaim your emotional well-being and make room for positive experiences and relationships. Practicing forgiveness is also an act of self-compassion. It involves recognizing that while the past cannot be changed, our present and future can be shaped by how we choose to respond. By letting go of anger, we protect ourselves from being continually triggered by past events. We stop giving power to those who have wronged us and instead take back control of our own emotional landscape. Moreover, forgiveness opens the door to a more peaceful and harmonious life. When you release your grip on anger, you create space for empathy, understanding, and even love to flourish. This doesn't mean that you forget what happened or that you invite the person who wronged you back into your life under the same terms. It simply means that you are no longer letting that past hurt dictate your present state of mind. Stoicism reminds us that everyone is fallible, ourselves included. Just as we hope others will forgive us for our mistakes, we must be willing to extend the same grace to them. By doing so, we cultivate a mindset of understanding rather than judgment, and compassion rather than condemnation. In the end, forgiveness is not about letting others off the hook. It's about freeing ourselves from the chains of anger that keep us bound to the past. By practicing forgiveness, we allow ourselves to live more fully in the present, unburdened by the weight of old grievances. This, in turn, leads to a life marked by greater peace, emotional balance, and genuine happiness, qualities that are the true rewards of a Stoic approach to anger and its management. Walk away. The Stoics maintained that anger is contagious, like a disease that spreads from person to person, infecting even the calmest minds. Just as we can catch a cold from those around us, we can also be influenced by the moods and behaviors of others. If we spend our time surrounded by people who are constantly angry, negative, or irritable, we are more likely to absorb these emotions ourselves, finding that we too become easily triggered by the same things that anger them. This phenomenon isn't just theoretical, it's something we can see in our daily lives. Think about how your mood can shift simply by being around someone who is upset or frustrated. Their anger can seep into your own emotional state, making you more susceptible to irritation or outbursts. This is why the Stoics place such importance on choosing our companions carefully. By surrounding ourselves with calm, rational, and positive individuals, we not only protect ourselves from the contagion of anger, but also reinforce these qualities in ourselves. Their example becomes a stabilizing force, helping us maintain our composure in difficult situations and reminding us of the value of tranquility and self-control. Imagine being in the company of someone who consistently handles stress with grace and responds to provocations with patience. Their demeanor can serve as a powerful counterbalance to the chaos of the outside world. In their presence, you're more likely to mirror their calmness, internalizing their approach to challenges as a model for your own behavior. This is the essence of what the Stoics teach, that by aligning ourselves with those who embody the virtues we aspire to, we naturally begin to cultivate those virtues within ourselves. However, the reality is that we can't always control the environments we find ourselves in. Sometimes we may be surrounded by anger and negativity, whether it's in our workplace, social circles, or even our own families. In these situations, the Stoics advise taking steps to protect our inner peace. This might involve distancing ourselves from certain individuals, either physically or emotionally. If physical distance isn't possible, emotional distance becomes crucial. This means setting up clear boundaries, deciding what you will and will not tolerate, and how much energy you are willing to invest in interactions that threaten your peace of mind. Cultivating inner resilience is another powerful tool in these circumstances. Practices like meditation, reflection, and journaling can help fortify your mind against external negativity. By regularly engaging in these practices, you build a mental shield that allows you to maintain your equanimity even when surrounded by anger or chaos. Reflection, in particular, is a practice the Stoics often emphasize. By taking time each day to reflect on your interactions and responses, you become more aware of how external influences might be affecting you, and you can consciously choose to detach from those that do not serve your well-being. Seneca, for instance, would advise that when you find yourself in a heated environment, rather than getting swept up in the anger, take a moment to step back mentally. Observe the situation as if from a distance, asking yourself, is this worth my peace of mind? Will engaging in this anger bring me closer to the person I want to be? Often, simply asking these questions can be enough to break the cycle of contagion, allowing you to respond with calm rather than anger. In essence, the Stoics remind us that we have a choice in how we respond to the emotional environments we inhabit. By choosing our companions wisely and cultivating inner strength, we can protect ourselves from the spread of anger and instead foster a life marked by tranquility and self-control. It's about being mindful of the influences around us and taking deliberate steps to ensure that our inner peace remains intact, regardless of the external chaos we might encounter. Stoics use humor. Another powerful tool in controlling anger is humor. Life is full of absurdities, and many of the things that trigger anger can be diffused with well-timed humor and shifts in perspective. Humor acts as a great release for the pressure that builds up in stressful situations. By learning to laugh at the quirks and unexpected twists that life throws our way, we can take ourselves and our circumstances a little less seriously. This light-hearted approach reduces the likelihood of getting triggered and helps us maintain our composure. Humor allows us to see the ridiculousness of our anger and the triviality of the things that often provoke us. Picture yourself fuming over something as minor as a misplaced coffee order or a slow driver. In the moment, it feels monumental, but if you step back and imagine watching yourself from the outside, the scene can appear almost comical. We get worked up over the most trivial things, as if the world were ending because of a minor inconvenience. Humor helps us maintain a sense of proportion, reminding us that most of the things that irritate us are not as important as we make them out to be. When we can laugh at these situations, we realize how fleeting and insignificant they really are. This shift in perspective can be a powerful antidote to anger. When you approach challenges with a sense of humor, you respond with grace and lightness rather than frustration and rage. A joke, a smile, or even a self-deprecating comment can diffuse tension, turning a potentially explosive situation into something manageable. It's not about ignoring problems or pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing a response that uplifts rather than drags you down. Humor allows you to rise above the situation, keeping your mood light and your mind clear. In addition to humor, cultivating a broader perspective on life can help us avoid getting triggered. By recognizing the impermanence of all things and the vastness of the universe, we can see our problems in a new light. What seems like a major issue in the moment may be insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Think of the challenges you've faced in the past that once seemed insurmountable. How do they look now, with the benefit of time and perspective. Often, they've faded into the background, no longer holding the power they once did. This broader perspective serves as a reminder that life is constantly changing, and so too are the problems we face. By zooming out and considering the bigger picture, we can let go of anger and approach life with a more balanced and serene mindset. It's about understanding that while our emotions are real and valid, they are not the whole story. The universe is vast, time is infinite, and in the grand scheme of things, most of our daily frustrations are but tiny blips on the radar. When you feel anger creeping in, try to find the humor in the situation. Laugh at the absurdity of it all. And if that doesn't work, take a moment to step back and view your problem from a broader perspective. Ask yourself, in a year or even a month, will this still matter? Often, you'll find that the answer is no. This realization can be incredibly liberating, allowing you to release anger and embrace a more peaceful approach to life. By combining humor with a wide-angle view of existence, you arm yourself with powerful tools to navigate life's challenges with grace, resilience, and an enduring sense of calm. If you like what we do, feel free to do more and like and share the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, to the community.